welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here this evening with session number 20 of an ongoing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign titled Evermore le Masquerade. This is set in a homebrew world of mine known as Rostveen, particularly in a kingdom known as Gerdes, which is heavily based on the Baroque periods of Spain, France, and Venice, with a little bit of Orlais from the Dragon Age franchise kind of sprinkled on top. Yeah, this has been such an incredible story so far, and I'm really, really happy every time that we get to sit down and play this game. And it's taking a dramatic turn, so I'm really excited to kind of get to the next chapter in this story. Tonight's session is titled Armed to the Teeth. That should become readily apparent as to why as we settle in for this evening's game. I've done this before. So yeah, I'm going to give the same warning that I give at the beginning of all of my streams, and that is if bad language and immature humor and mature dark subject matter are problems for you, then you probably should not watch anything on this channel, much less this game, particularly this game. While we will never feature explicit sex in this game, we're going to get about as close as we can. So, you have been warned. If that kind of stuff doesn't bother you, then settle on in. Grab a blanket, maybe some hot cocoa. All right. I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, tell you where you may be able to find them on the internet, anything that they might have going on at the moment, and then we can get started. Oh, before we do, I did want to make a very special announcement. This game is the 350th video on the channel here. That is an incredible amount of content. I've been doing this for a long fucking time, but it's a lot of fun, and I love doing it. So I'm very, very, very thankful that all of you are along for the ride. So welcome. All right, so now we're going to pass things over and do introductions. So first up, of course, is Kenya.
Apparently my cat has something to say about that now this time. I'm sorry, she's loud. Hi everyone, I'm Kenya, Acer Sin on the interwebs. Tonight I am playing my eloquent bard Vera, who is a little apprehensive about the possible activities that we're going to head off into tonight, because the last time we interacted with some vampires, she almost died. So she's not feeling too hot about it, but we'll see what happens. I have faith in my fellow companions, and if all else fails, I'll just hide behind the were-rat. Take it away, Matt.
Hey everyone, I'm Matt. I run a channel called Fistful of Dice, and I make RPG books over at Absolute Tabletop. And tonight, as always, I'm going to be playing Loxley LaCroix, who is just itching to kill something. It's been a little bit, and I'm very excited to potentially fight some vampires here. So thanks again for watching, everybody. I'm going to pass it on over to M.
Hi everyone, I'm Em. I'm playing Sylvie Levine, and everything is fine. It's fine. We're armed. We have things, pointy things to kill vampires, so I have every confidence that we will do so. But I'm excited to jump into it. Yeah, I'll pass it on to Austin.
I am super excited to be getting back into this. I'm Austin, and I will be playing Guillaume. I never really have much to add to these because I know I don't do plugs. Plug general concepts sometimes. So friendliness, do it, or I'll fucking get you. And with that, I'll pass it on to Karen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen, also known as I also do this a lot. Myth and Gears on the interwebs. if I'm not here playing a game on Jeremy's lovely channel, then I can be found over at Mini Terrain Domain, sometimes playing lovely games over there. So you should head on over there. There's lots of good content there too. Tonight, I get to play Cameron-Diego Ruiz y Gonzala, aka Solana del Cargones, aka Isabel Anscari. And that's just what we know.
Oh, it's me. It's my turn. Yeah. Everything is fine, like him said. No problems. I'm sure nothing bad will befall your characters at all, like it has so far. Cool. Let's see. I don't think there's any other points of business, so if y'all are ready, I think we can roll right into it. Yeah. Let's play some D&D. Hey guys, let's play some D&D. The tide of remorse rises and falls in the present. Yet its headwaters spring forth only from the past. If you let it flow freely, the things you regret will saturate and drown everything you hold in your hands now. Water does not flow against the current. It moves only forward, ever ahead. And if it ceases to move, it will stagnate and foster fetid things. So too are there times when you must refuse to stagnate in the remorse of what you ought to have done. Instead, move downstream, forward toward the future, and what course you may yet choose to flow. A blood-red sun rises amid the jagged western mountains, drenching the barren peaks in a blush of false life like rouge on a corpse. A swarm of bats screeches into view, swooping their way to whatever hole within they will hide the day away. As if following their shrieking guidance, a carriage of black iron lumbers forth. Inside, the precious cargo has grown quiet, tears and pleas long since having run dry. Steeds the color of shadow show no signs of slowing their breakneck speed as they near a twisted, narrow path that winds its way deeper into the rocky elevation ahead. And that is when we notice that this vessel rides not on the dangerous terrain below, but on an unnatural bank of fog that carries it forward with dire purpose. We find the five of you reconvening at the Via de Garbacera, the home of the Condesa here in Aladalgo. What is the general conversation, if anything, is being said between the five of you before you head down into the Vampire Hunter's vault to arm yourselves for what's to come next?
So I left everything to Gabriella, just in case. She'll take good care of the staff. She'll do things well. But oh, we left. But we have a problem.
Just one?
Well, if I remember, I believe Sylvie and I kind of ran in at the same time saying, "Oh, we have a problem." Wasn't it Sylvie and I? At the end of the last game. I can't remember. But well, okay. Well, we have a lot of problems, but here's an additional new one for everyone. Um, so um something happened that isn't possible. And when I mean it's not possible, I mean it's really not possible. And this isn't a, oh, that's impossible. Like, no, this is the madam showed up apparently while we were gone. Apparently, I just cannot leave the Castillo because when I leave, people show up and all hell breaks loose. So, yeah, she showed up while I was not there. And that's a problem.
I am failing to put the puzzle pieces together. Why is this?
So I believe you. I do want to put that out there. I believe you that this is a problem and that this should not or have been possible. I'm with Chimeran on this one. I'm not quite putting dot to dot on this one.
Well, that explains everything.
Yeah.
Does this
Okay.
have something to do with? Never mind. I'll ask you later. And like Guillaume kind of realizes, like, oh, we haven't talked about that.
Jeremy, was there anything unusual in my office? I can't remember from the last session. Like when after I was told this and
So I don't know that in the last session we actually mentioned you going to your office, but
Okay.
I'm sure that you did.
Okay.
I don't think that there would have been anything amiss. However,
Okay.
just the fact that
Mhm.
this transpired and that someone was in your office for some period of time is probably disconcerting enough.
Mhm. Gabrielle informed me that the madam showed up, walked into the office, went through the books, and then left before I got there. The reason it's troublesome is okay, well, I mean, we're about to go walk into a vampire's lair, and we may or may not make it out alive, and we all know things about each other, so it's not possible because she's not alive.
I know usually that statement is fairly definitive, but given the things that we've seen over the last few weeks, you might have to get a little bit more specific. What do you mean she's not alive?
I mean, she's not alive because I killed her, put her body in a box, and sunk it to the bottom of the lake years ago.
Oh, well, that's pretty definitive.
I have a lot of questions.
I do too. The first one though, I just want to know, based on prior history, when you put her in the box, was it in one piece?
Yes. I didn't
Okay.
think about, and based on prior history, what have you heard about me?
I mean, you were the one that suggested the majority of the dismemberments that have been suggested so far.
But I mean, we were dealing with supernatural creatures. She was just an old woman who
Okay, this is not helping your
deserved.
case in this whole situation, but we'll circle back to the morality of the whole thing when we're not dealing with all of these other issues.
Says the guy who's like murdered 2 people.
I have not murdered anyone. I think I probably killed 1 person or 2 in self-defense at this point, but I'm not even sure most of those were people. In fact, I'm pretty sure that none of them were.
I mean,
So-
you've killed a couple of were-rats. Are you saying were-rats aren't people?
All right, touche. That one's on me. That one's on me. Yeah, okay, that's fair. No, I did, and they were, but again, self-defense. Self-defense. I'm gonna go with that one. I did kill a person just like yesterday or today, this last night. But that one was also basically self-defense, and that one was a duel that was pretty sanctioned. That was all above board. I did kill him with magic at the end of the duel, even though that was against the
We were
terms
there.
of the. But he broke the. This all shakes out in my favor. You were there for this.
Yes. None of us disagree with what you did. But I mean, for once, it's amazing, actually.
Yeah, how'd this become about me? You killed an old lady and stuffed her in a box.
So, do you think that it's someone impersonating her? Do you think that it is her? Do you think that it's a third unexplored option that hasn't yet occurred to me?
If you would have asked me, oh, I don't know, a few months ago, it's absolutely someone impersonating her. You ask me today, I mean, with what we've been dealing with, maybe it's her, but she didn't behave like I think she would have. She was a horrible, horrible woman. And if she was still alive and she walked back in, she wouldn't walk in and out when I'm not there. She'd walk in and she would try to take back over under the fact that technically it's still her place, technically.
When she came in, do you know if she was invited in by your
The Castillo is a
staff?
public establishment. The
That's
girls'
fair.
rooms are private residences, but the Castillo itself, the main part, my office, that's all public,
Yeah.
technically.
Okay.
So she was a very horrible. She was a very horrible woman who abused her staff, most specifically those of us who were young and worked there before we became of age and everything. And things got very heated between us one night, and I solved the problem. And she has been out traveling through her golden years for the last couple years. Only on occasion coming back to check in and collect her money and then leaving again.
Wait, how does she come back and check in and collect her money if she is, in fact, in a chest at the bottom of the lake?
I get a message from her that she's coming into town, and I leave for a few days. And then when she's gone, I reappear.
Yeah, break it down for me, honestly.
Guillaume will just turn to
impersonate
Chimera
her.
and be like, face changey magic.
Yeah.
The thing
Oh,
I
s-
do to
oh,
not
so
get
you're
caught
her.
when we're walking around.
Right.
But
Don't know
what
why
I
didn't
do
put
is
that together.
what I do is different than what Guillaume does.
Well, I mean, to be fair, what I do is different than what Guillaume does.
What do you do?
Well, I change my clothes and change my makeup and add a little bit of different hairstyle, tweak this, tweak that, change your posture, change your voice. It's all good. But I could never pass for an old woman.
I'm very good at it. We'll just put it that way.
Guillaume bites his tongue so hard in this moment and narrowly avoids saying anything.
She just kind of looks at Guillaume.
He gives that little like, nope, not going to suck me into it. Like, I'm being better than that.
So I believe someone came in to impersonate her to see if they could walk in, to rattle me, to see how the staff behaved when she walked in. Gabrielle was very kind of distraught. She didn't know what to do. She's never had to deal with her like this. Randomly. She never arrives randomly. So,
So we are
considering
thinking imposter then. Is that
yes. Well,
okay.
it has I mean, I want to say it has to be. I mean, who knows? Maybe she was a vampire and I just stabbed her a bunch of times and squished her body into a chest and then dumped a vampire into the bottom of the lake and it swam out later and was fine. I mean, it's possible. But I'm thinking more like whatever has been going on around us, the fact that they tried to bury a vampire in my basement, that it's more probably someone just along the lines of fucking with us. With
Seems a fair assumption.
Mhm.
Well, I have a problem too.
What's your problem? Let's talk about you for a second. It's enough
So
about me.
I'm being hunted. I'm pretty sure it's me because they were at my house and yeah.
By whom?
It wasn't it. It was more like this spider creepy. Was it metallic, Jeremy? Metallic, or was it
I think it was crystal.
Kind of like
wasn't it?
crystalline.
crystal?
Mhm.
So it was like this. Yeah, it sounds really bad when I say it, like a crystal spider, but it was searching and it was hunting. Best I can say. So, like you,
Did
I
it-
left everything.
That doesn't
Didn't-
sound like anything that we've tangled with before.
Mhm. Didn't you say something about when I used Intellect Fortress on you, you asked about a spider web?
I did. I did, yes.
And now you're seeing crystal spiders?
I'm not imagining it. It was
I'm
really
not
there.
saying that the word imagine did not come across my lips. I said you're seeing them. Like you saw them. You saw a crystal
I saw
spider.
it. I did. And frankly, I know it's him. He sent them. So he's found me.
We did kind of assume that because of the whole boat fiasco.
Yeah. But now he knows where I live. He's obviously been scoping out my place.
Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, and Vitor, he wouldn't stay away, so he's here now with us too.
Hello.
I was going to
Hi.
ask, but I'm glad you brought it up. I thought it would be a little rude to just. I thought there was a chance that he'd just been here the whole time, like through all of this, and I just hadn't noticed. Hi, Guillaume. I think we may have met briefly.
A few times, yes. It's I suppose a pleasure to see all of you again. And under the circumstances.
Well, I suppose it's a pleasure to see you again as well. Unnecessary, but anyway, make yourself welcome.
So Sylvian Locks, do you guys have anything interesting going on?
Well, since we are all sharing, Guillaume and I had a very interesting evening. Well, there was someone who came to my shop, who claimed to know my family. Now, my family has had some unfortunate dealings in the past, so it's was not something that I was expecting or expected to know that someone who is acquainted with my family would know how to find me. I have tried my best to make myself as unfindable as possible.
Seems both of us were a little lacking on the unfindable part.
It seems we have to change our definition of unfindable. Guillaume helped me track this person to find out who they actually were, because they were not saying who they were not presenting themselves as they actually were. And Guillaume also found something very interesting on the boat when he was sniffing around.
Do tell.
Did you want to say?
Just for my memory, it was this paper that had the same
Same handwriting as the shadows list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what was on the note. I am blanking on that one.
I think wasn't it, you couldn't read it, but it had the names. You recognized the names. Was that it?
I have he pulls it out and looks at the papers. It has the
Good.
ship information and mentions Sylvie and the name of her shop.
There
The
you go.
handwriting in the
Oh.
paper matches the Shadows of Martival list.
Take a point of inspiration, can you? Fantastic.
Yes. So it had the same handwriting as that shadows list. Anyway, that's not great.
It leads me to believe that whoever is pulling Lavinia's strings is also organizing this hunt for Sylvie, or at least this attempt to shake her up, which makes me think that possibly also orchestrating. I mean, we already think it's probably pretty likely they're orchestrating whatever is happening at Vera's place, which makes me assume that Chimeran's whole deal is probably connected in some way, because like the timing is just too coincidental. All of us being, I mean, obviously I've been hunted for a while. Not trying to say I was like the first or anything, but it's coming after everyone now pretty rapidly. Except Locks. Seems like nobody's hunting you yet, right? As far as we know.
I'm actually afraid to ask now that everybody's said their thing.
I am not being hunted by anyone of whom I'm aware.
Well, that's a relief.
But
Good enough for
I do
me.
a little hunting myself from time to time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of terrified about what we're about to go do, but I'm a little excited.
Yes.
I've I've been meditating on my spell book, and boy, I'm excited to try some of these things out. These are things that I've like, you read them, you commit them to memory, you practice the glyphs, but like you don't really cast these things in an academic setting. It's gonna be fun.
I am not looking forward to what we're about to do. But in for a penny, in for a pound, I guess they say, right? Like just since we're making plans, I should probably tell you one other thing. Because it might help us somehow. And I feel like springing it on you in the moment might not be the best thing. And as she is kind of standing there, she starts to pace a little bit and she kind of turns away from you guys. And when she turns back, um, she looks exactly like Locks. And then she does it again and she looks like Sylvie. And you guys just watch as she just changes into everybody in the room. This is how I pretend to be the madam. This is how I've been able to keep it a secret that she's been dead for 10 years.
Guillaume will like almost like delicately like kind of reach out to like kind of touch your arm, and like, oh, fascinating. Oh, that's different.
Yeah.
That is different. This isn't illusory.
No,
This
Ella's the only person that knows other than you guys now that I can do this. And that's because it was an accident one night. Gabrielle and Sebastian don't even know. Wait, that's a lie. There's one or two high level clients of mine that know because I've used it. Never mind, it's not important. Anyways,
Is this magic or is this just something you can do?
it's me.
I I I've read some books, and I don't want to You know what? I'm not sure if the terminology that I know is up to date, and I don't want to say anything offensive, but are are you I'm sorry, that's an indelicate question.
On your plane, you call us changelings.
And that's cool. Like that's okay.
That's
I've heard some I've read one or two things that were from more progressive scholars that are kind of saying like, whoa, hey, doppelganger is a more preferred term. And I don't want to like, I'm not trying to reclaim that for you or not let you reclaim it.
Guillaume. It's fine.
Okay.
You can just call me Vera. It works.
That
So
was
is
I
the
just
plan.
this really you?
no. Vera's a costume I wear.
Does it have to be based on a real person or can you just
No,
can you
it
make a
doesn't.
new
I
is
can.
Vera an original?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. You've done stunning work. Your eye for detail is outstanding. If this is crafted, well,
I've studied the human form a lot. So I'm telling all of you this, because I mean, we really know each other's dirty secrets now, so we've got something on everybody in here. And honestly, it might help with something. We could kidnap a staff member of the vampire's lair. I could look like them, put their clothes on, and break in and let you in the back door. I mean, there's a bunch of different things we could use this for. So since we've been yeah, since we're gonna do this, and the reality of it is the old woman showing up at the Castillo has kind of rocked me. That means that somebody out there may know what I am and what I've done and is doing it to fuck with me, or they don't know those details. They just are doing it to I don't know. I'm just really.
I'm assuming you've been very, very, very careful because it's been, like you said, 10 years or so.
Mhm.
How would they have found out?
I don't know. But up until a couple months ago, I didn't know that there were were rats and vampires and Olgadago. So, I just.
Fair point.
Jeremy, DM question. Is it
Mhm.
like illegal to be a changeling in the city? Or are they like discriminated against, or do we have any like knowledge? Is this something that we would be at all familiar with beyond like something
So
you've
the
heard?
the answer to your first question, no, not necessarily. But the answer to your second question, that's because changelings are not native to Rosfin. You may have heard of doppelgangers before. Some people may have even come across them. But to see them integrated into society would be all but unheard of for most people.
So that's why I was trying to help you when you were stuck, Guillaume. It was hard for me to understand exactly where you were at, because what I do is as natural to me as breathing is to you.
I do appreciate all your guidance. I think I've been able to get the transformations a little more under control now.
So, anyways. Surprise.
We all pretend to be different people, Vera, and all that matters is the person that I know. And I think, at least I like to believe, that that has been genuine.
I mean, I probably spend the vast majority of my time as Vera. So, yeah, I mean, Vera is who I am. I wasn't going to tell you guys until that woman showed up at the chateau or the Castillo. And the reason I recognized the necklace I have that lets me move us to locations is because it was my mother's. That's how I knew what it was and what it did. And
I know we don't have much time, but how did you come to be here?
The short version, my parents were hired to do some infiltration for some of the elites of the city. It required me to come along with, and things went sideways. And while we were trying to escape, I got separated from my parents, and they went back to our plane. It's very, very, very difficult for us to get here. So,
They just left without you?
it was more of a kind of shit hit the fan at the last moment, and I was separated from them, and I waited for them to come back, but eventually I had to take the form of a human child, and I was left at the orphanage. And then I was purchased by the madam to like clean rooms and stuff when I was little. And that's Gabrielle and Sebastian, the twins, were purchased for that purpose also. And then yeah, so I have not seen hide nor hair of them since. Every once in a while I go back to where I think I lost them, but I was very young. And I have essentially been hiding in plain sight since.
It the significance of you telling us is not lost on me, Vera. Thank you.
It is slightly selfish in the fact that I don't want us to die, so I'm willing to give up my secrets in order to say, hey, I can do this so that hopefully it will help us not die.
I really appreciate your honesty, Vera, and I apologize in advance for the 1,000 questions I'm going to have to ask you as an academic about your people if we survive all of this.
If we survive all of this, we will definitely, I don't know, sit back and have a drink and smoke while we talk about my people.
That sounds lovely to me.
So anyways, vampires, guys. Vera is very uncomfortable. Like it is just radiating off of her. Like this is probably the most like uncomfortable and like out of her element that you guys have ever seen her. It is very obvious that she is not used to this feeling that she's having of like vulnerability and telling people things.
Okay. So after this collection of revelations is made, and all of you have had maybe not enough time, but some time to process. At some point, you will be gathered up by the Condessa, who will ask if you are ready to head down to the vault. Oops. Yes, okay. She leads you down beneath the via, far below the canals and streets of the city. You pass through what looks like at one point it had been a dungeon, although it looks like it has gone unused at some point, for some time rather. You eventually find yourselves in some narrow cobweb infested hallways, and she seems to walk these corridors with a certainty that kind of is strange, because it's obvious that no one's been down here for some time. And at some point she turns down a corridor and you find yourselves face to face with a very strange looking mirror. You see yourselves reflected in its surface. However, you appear in skeletal form. Your clothing, your gear is all the same, but you can see your bones mimicking your movements in the reflection of the surface of the mirror. The Condessa herself, adversely, looks like an older version of the woman that you saw in the painting in the library before it was stolen. She produces a small vial of blood from her robes and pours it into a half basin that is built into the mirror, into the wall against the surface. The reflection of this basin makes it look complete, makes it look whole. She pours the blood into the basin, and if you pay attention, it does not reflect the flow of the blood in the basin. It acts and behaves as if this basin were a whole basin. She then takes her hand, both versions, and dips her hand into the blood before reaching out towards one another, their hands touching on the glass, before she then disappears.
Are we supposed to follow her?
Certainly seem the.
I would assume so. Not it.
Well, fine. Chimeran will go up first, place his hand in the basically mimic what he saw the Contessa do. Touch
You
the
move
glass.
forward. You dip your hand in this blood. You watch as your skeletal form mimics your movement. You then reach out and touch. You feel the cold, hard, flat surface of the mirror beneath your hand. But nothing happens.
I'm doing this right, am I not?
Your skeletal reflection turns its head kind of ever so slightly to the side, Chimeran, and takes its free hand and draws it down its own palm, finger first, and then replaces its hand to match your reflection.
Okay. Yeah, that of course it has to be much more difficult. Chimeran will looks at his own palm. And instead of actually cutting across the palm, like, because that hurts like a Jesus, he's going to take a dagger and just kind of cut along his forearm a bit, and then put his hand on that blood and put it on the mirror.
Okay. You notice as you do this, and you repeat this motion, at first, it likewise doesn't do anything. But as you're standing there, a droplet of blood falls from your forearm and drips into the basin, and Chimeran disappears.
So it does blood.
How much of the Contessa's blood do you think she like drained and stored before she became a skeleton? Because I just keep thinking, can you imagine having a room in your house that you were like, oh, I ran out of keys. I can't get into that room anymore. I'll just never be able, like, she can't make more blood.
You probably
Is her
only have
blood
to do it one time.
I mean, I'm guessing it seems like to get in where is this a room? It seems like she's taking us somewhere, but like it's a vault, she said.
I'll go. We'll see what's going on here. And Locke steps forward and he actually just bites the side of his hand with these like little tusks that are often sort of hidden in his mouth. And he squeezes his fist and puts a couple drops in there.
You add to the basin, and then you do the same motion. You dip your hand, watch the skeletal form mirror your movements, and as your hands kind of touch at the mirror's surface, Locke's then disappears as well.
All right, I'm too curious. Guillaume will walk up. He'll pull his dagger out, and he'll hold his forearm out over the basin, and he draws it across real quick. But his were-rat powers, like very quickly, knit it back up as he's just using a mundane dagger. And he's like, "Ow, ow, ow!" And he just keeps trying to slash it until he finally like slashes it and holds it open a bit until he drops some blood in. And then like resheathes his dagger, like, God damn it. As it closes back up.
Locks, Guillaume, you repeat this process, dipping your hand, placing it against the mirror, and then you as well disappear from the hallway.
Vera looks over at Sylvie. We could just run.
Right? This is the
Right?
time.
This is
right
the time,
before
right? Right
the,
now?
The blood is when
The blood and The vampires and the hunting and the
Just think, we could both go back to, you could go back to your Castillo, I could go back to my shop.
we could pack up all your fabrics and I could, leave the shop or the Castillo with Gabrielle and we could run away together and start someplace new. And I mean, we are both very eloquent, very well-spoken businesswomen. We're not going
You
to
know,
do that, are we?
I've heard the South is beautiful this time of
Oh,
year.
is it?
She kind of laughs a little bit, smiles. It's it would never be like that, even if we did leave. Too many secrets. Too many people who are coming back from the dead, are finding us, me, even in my best intentions. So I suppose it is, we have to face it at some point, but it is nice to think about. And like, she would give Vera like a very like kiss on the cheek, like very like,
Mhm.
like a tender like,
Yeah,
you have always been a great friend, Vera.
you too, Sylvie. And she'd kind of return the kiss on her cheek. After you, my lady. And she'll kind of do like an over-exaggerated bow towards the mirror.
Yeah, Sylvie will like low curtsy. And then as soon as she stands up, just slice her hand and put it into the yeah.
Yep, the same, same process. Sylvie places her hand in the basin and then up against the mirror, and then Vera, you are left alone outside in this hallway.
Vera's going to kind of look back behind her to the hallway they walked down. Things are so much easier when you're not attached to them. And she'll walk up to the mirror and before she slices uh her flesh to get the blood into the basin, she's gonna stop in front of the mirror and like look at her skeleton for a minute and she's gonna change her shape. She's gonna change into, I don't know, she'll change into like locks just off the top of her head. Like, does anything happen to her skeleton when she changes? Because he's a very different, like, I mean, does her skeleton and everything move and shift and
I would assume so. If you're changing, height,
yeah.
bone structure, species, things like that, probably.
I think right before she slices into her hand, she'll turn into her natural form, which is about the same height that Vera is. Probably about the same size and stuff too, but she has her white skin with the kind of patches all over it and her like silvery white hair that she has, and she'll kind of reach up and like touch the mirror like where her skeleton is. And then she'll reach down and slice uh her forearm open like the others did and let the blood drip in. She'll put her hand in and um as she's disappearing to wherever the rest of the group is, she'll change herself back into Vera so that she's looking normal when she gets back to them.
So I have a question. Is Vera's blood any different looking?
I think it would be kind of cool if it was. Like,
Agreed.
I think maybe instead of maybe especially because she did it in her, well, I think it would be different looking. I'm trying to figure out. I almost think it would be paler. Like it would almost be like a maybe like a kind of like how her skin and her hair and everything gets that white silvery color. And it would have
Okay.
like just the faintest hints of like red throughout it, maybe. Like it wouldn't look exactly like normal blood. But yeah, I think it would, unless you think there's something else that would be cool.
No,
I'm
no, I think that's
open to
fantastic.
ideas. But yeah, I really think it would be. I think being since she's from a different plane, she's entirely different creature. Yeah, her blood looks different.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, you drop it into the basin, and there's this moment where it kind of doesn't mix entirely. You know, at first, it's kind of like this swirl of difference in this basin. As you kind of then press your hand, and by the time that you disappear into the mirror, we're left just kind of seeing that swirl in the basin kind of slowly disappear as it mixes with the blood that's still present. On the other side, you have all appeared in a different place. It's hard to tell whether or not it is on the same plane, or if it might potentially be a pocket dimension of some kind. But undoubtedly, you can see the place is completely outfitted with furniture and training equipment and weaponry. This place has a fine layer of dust that is settled over all of the surfaces, but it is very clear that this room has been used extensively at some point for training and other activities. So, this is the room that you now find yourselves in. And now, it's time to equip yourselves for hunting some motherfucking vampires. So, I think what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're pretty close to break time. So we'll go ahead and take our break now. Take a 10-minute bio, go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, etc., etc. And then when we come back, we can touch on like what this montage looks like. You know, what it is that you're picking up and equipping yourselves with, what you might be doing as far as training. So yeah, sit tight, everybody. We will be right back. We're gonna take a 10-minute, and when we come back, we're gonna get to the second half of session 20 of Evermore le Masquerade. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of tonight's session of Evermore le Masquerade. We are now in the bowels of the Condessa's villa, in the Vampire Hunter's vault. You have just kind of passed through this magical barrier to come to this space. Whether it is actually deep underground or is some kind of pocket dimension, you're not entirely certain. But all around you are the trappings of hunting and slaying vampires. You see dummies that have been rigged up for practicing different kinds of maneuvers and combat tactics against. There are targets set up everywhere. You see the kinds of things you would expect. Steaks and garlic and what you are assuming are bottles of holy water strewn about just about everywhere in here. Guillaume, you've read a book at some point that described what vampires were capable of. And as you're looking around this room in particular, you're basically able to like check box after box after box after box of like ways that you would combat all of these powers. So, what is it that the five of you are looking for? We talked about this a little bit off air, but we're going to go ahead and do it here as well on air, on screen, whatever you want to call it. Each one of you is able to choose a rare item and a common magic item, or two uncommon magic items. Again, if you cannot find what you're looking for on D&D Beyond or in the DMG, then just ask and we'll see what we can do about just custom homebrewing it. Go nuts. But as a way of talking about this item, if at all possible, also describe what it looks like as your character is either discovering this item and or learning how to use it.
So I think one of the first things that Chimeran's eyes fall upon is this kind of shoulder neck piece, this finely crafted, very fine metal, if you will, collar. It's got quite the probably maybe of elven make at some point, because it's got some beautiful filigree and some shapings to it, so it looks quite exquisite and elegant, and his eyes just fall on it immediately, and he's like, picks it up and is trying to fit it upon his body to see if it will fit well and if it's comfortable. And he looks to the Contessa, and he's kind of got the look in his eye like, can I have this? Like,
yeah, the Condessa kind of sweeps over towards you. Again, her layered skirts and dresses, kind of almost making it look like she glides across this room, not even really disturbing most of the dust that's settled here. And as she comes up to you, she kind of extends her kind of bony fingers and kind of traces some of the filigree on this piece. She says, "Oh, yes, I remember this piece. I had this commissioned. Oh, I have forgotten the year. But this was commissioned in Vikeril, a place that is not terribly far from here. There was this vampire count who was a very nasty piece of work. It came in handy. If you look here," and she kind of like indicates with two bony fingers, there are two small indents about the space apart that two canines would be. Definitely saved my life, no doubt. And of course, yes, It certainly would not be of much worth to me now. Please, take it.
Primarin just kind of holds it almost reverently because it is so beautiful, but also very like practical for where we're going. But he is just absolutely enthralled with the workmanship of this particular item and immediately, yeah, like definitely puts it on and then wants to look at himself and how gorgeous it looks around his neck.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's, it takes a little bit of adjusting with the straps and things, but you can fit this kind of gorget onto you, and it is incredibly fetching. And maybe even perhaps like when you go to try it on, it may be a little small, a little snug, but like you notice like as you wear it and kind of move around a little, it seems to almost like morph, like alter itself ever so slightly. And before you're even finished kind of strutting around looking at yourself, it feels as though it were tailored to you. Okay, and you said you wanted this to have some kind of defensive bonus against vampires. Yes?
Please. Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So let's do this. Do you know what your second item is? Are you looking at an uncommon or a common as your secondary?
I was thinking just maybe like maybe a handful of arrows that seem to have like a small little vial where the point used to be or should be. Instead of there's this little vial filled with a liquid, which I'm going to say is holy water. So it's
okay. So those would probably be uncommon. I think most of the bonus ammunition is bonus damage ammunition. So let's say that this is also an uncommon item. So this will give you a +1 to your AC, and any vampire's bite attack will have disadvantage against you.
Thank you.
So saith the hounds. Okay. The arrows, let's say that there are okay, 10 of them. And they work and function as an arrow. However, if they hit, then it deals holy water damage to them, which I believe is 2d6. So that will work. Anybody else?
Lox kind of wanders around this space, and his hand would, of course, sort of trail across the hilts of various weapons, and he would maybe even rest his hand on the pommels of a few swords. But inexplicably, he's sort of drawn to this corner of the room where there's this sort of nondescript looking dark cloak sort of hanging on a hook, and he would walk up to it and sort of rub it between his fingers, feeling how light and yet protective it feels. And as he's sort of moving it in the light, he catches this sort of glint of magic upon it. Jeremy, hoping to maybe grab a cloak of protection here in the vault, as well as he next to where this cloak is hanging, there's sort of this silk tray, and there's a bunch of like rings and bracelets and things laid upon it. And he kind of like is sifting through the rings a little bit, and he pulls this silver sort of spiraling ring off of the tray, and I am hoping that maybe the Contessa can hook me up with a ring of mind shielding. And he notices that this ring has like a strange sort of symbol on it that almost looks like a brain upon this ring.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, she comes over and she takes this cloak down off of the hook and throws it over your shoulders before kind of fastening it around your neck. She says, This I used to infiltrate a small coven. The House Sigararo. Yes, House Sigararo. It's been some time, but I think that this should still work. It's made with spider silk, from the drow.
It's lovely. It suits me too, I think. You would just let me use it.
Yes, it seems perhaps the hem is a little short. She kind of like reaches down and she pulls on the hem, and almost as if it were made of like some kind of elastic material, it just stretches down to like ankle length on you, Lox, and it broadens with your shoulders, almost like as you flex underneath it.
Perfect. And this ring here, what does this do?
This ring should help protect you against the charm, the uncanny ability that some vampires have to sway your mind. I took this from an unfortunate woman who had become a thrall. Sadly, the ring did not work for her. But to tell you the truth, I think she wanted to become a thrall.
I'll take this too, if that's okay.
Certainly. She holds up her fingers, nothing but these phalanges. There's nothing I can do with it. Please, it is all yours.
Thank you.
Guillaume is incredibly out of his element in an armory. He has no idea what he's doing, so he's just been following Lox around as like the resident knows what to stab people with guy. And so like he's over by the cloaks, and just for purely aesthetic reasons, he's just kind of looking through like what's there, and he plucks one out that has kind of a particularly like shimmery sort of look to it, and just like throws it on kind of absently, just trying it on just to see what it looks like, and is immediately like projected, like an illusory image of him seems to be projected just to the side of where he's standing. Oh, this is nice. Do you mind? And that's a cloak of displacement.
Ah, okay. Yeah, she will then come over. Oh, yes. This was one that I took from a very nasty. Well, he was not a vampire, but that's beside the point. He was a rather difficult warrior to defeat. You may think that this is in fact fur or velvet, perhaps. It is not. It is made from the hide of a displacer beast.
That makes some sense. It's incredibly smooth. I never thought I'd want to pet a displacer beast, but
I do not recommend it.
that's fair. And how would you know if you were actually reaching out to pet the displacer beast, or?
It's all in its response.
Hmm. I like that you know that.
I do not, she says.
Fair. I do have another request to make. I appear to have been severely weakened by some of the foes that we've come into contact with. This cloak is about the heaviest thing I think I can lift right now. And I was just wondering if you have any salves, any potions, any alchemical reagents that might help me speed up the recovery time.
You know, let me see. She turns around, she heads over to like a table that's kind of in the one side of the room. And she begins pulling out like small little clay jars and little vials of different powders and dried ingredients, and starts to kind of mix them together in a mortar and pestle, and starts to kind of grind them together. And it takes her a little bit of time, but eventually she creates this concoction, this potion that she will bring back to you. This will not taste well. However, you should drink all of it.
He will like, I thank you very much, and he'll just quickly wave a hand over it and start drinking it. Chicken soup now.
Ah, well, that probably helps with the chunks.
Makes a little more sense.
So
It's still a little thick, but it's delicious. Thank you.
Of course, I'm happy that it could help. So yes, I'm assuming like a potion of lesser restoration.
If that is what will cure me and will count as my common.
What are you still down?
I am. Let me double check. I am at 5 strength right now, down from 8.
That's right. The Diombra, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was before the duel. I went into that duel weak as shit.
Let me see here. What do they have? Okay. I think lesser restoration, but she hooks you up. Whatever it is, she hooks you up.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Disease or one condition. Well, so maybe not lesser. Okay, yeah. She'll get you healed up. Okay, anybody else have an idea of what they're looking for?
I think Sylvie is looking at all of the different weapons that are there, and they all look very clunky and metal and big and violent. As she is looking through the items, she comes across something that looks pretty innocuous. It is it looks very fine, and it's almost iridescent in the light, as it's this small, I would say it's like a mace looking type weapon.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But it looks almost crystalline in the light as it glimmers and shines, and definitely looks a lot more fragile than the other weapons. But as Sylvie picks it up, she can feel the power coursing through it. Sylvie would like a crystal blade.
Oh, what is that? I'm not familiar with that.
It is a rare magic sword that when you hit, it does an extra 1d8 radiant damage.
Ooh, fantastic. Okay. Yeah. She she watches you pick this up and kind of heft its weight in your hand. And she comes over and she says, "It's much lighter than it seems. No?"
And yes, this is very it does not look like the others. It is very light, fragile
Yes.
looking.
It is stronger than you may think. That weapon's name is Star Shard. It is actually made from, believe it or not, a fallen star. Quite powerful against the undead, and, as chance may have it, also against fiends.
She nods and she kind of holds it out, like looking at the balance. I do admire things that are not as they first appear, and maybe have a little bit more bite to them.
And she kind of like leans back and regards you for a second. Indeed. It is yours.
It has been some time since I have wielded a weapon, but how much different can it be than wielding some shears or a needle and thread?
Once again, as I told Guillaume, sometimes it is all in your reaction. I think perhaps before your task is through, you will find need to use this.
She nods, quite keen and on this item.
Okay. Did you have a comment in mind?
I've been looking. I thought I had one thing, but yeah, I'm still looking for a
Okay,
comment.
yeah, fair enough, absolutely. Anybody else know an item that they want?
So Vera was also looking for a cloak of protection. So she's wandering around and she happens to kind of like wander into this back area where it kind of set a little aside, and she finds this mannequin, and instead of being a cloak of protection, envision it almost like it's a enhanced version of like a studded leather armor type thing that basically has the additional cloak protection on it, but it's this very kind of, it's very Vera in style. It's almost like a corseted kind of like leather look to it with like silver decorative studs all over it. And she kind of starts like looking at that and looking at herself and then looking back at it again. And yeah, so essentially a cloak of protection, but flavored to be badass kickery armor.
Once again, the Condessa will, kind of come over, seeing you eyeing it. This I had made for my very first Mardival here in Gerdessi. In Gerdes, and yes, I certainly needed it. That was
She
quite
looks
a
at
night.
it and I assume was a hell of a party then, huh?
It was indeed. A fight wasn't exactly what happened. It was, well, very intense evening. She kind of laughs to herself and kind of runs her hand kind of down the dress.
Vera gives her like kind of a very knowing, like sideways smile. And do you mind then? Can I borrow it from you?
Please, yes, I insist. Maybe now it will be used for its intended purpose.
She'll immediately kind of just start putting this thing on. And once she has it on and she kind of looks over, and sitting up on a shelf is a lantern. And the part where the light comes out is shaped like an eyeball. I am going to take a lantern of revealing as her other item.
Ooh. Does it do like a true seeing?
While lit, this hooded lantern burns for 6 hours on 1 point of oil. It sheds bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim for an additional 30. Invisible creatures and objects are visible as long as they are in the lantern's bright light. And you can use an action to lower the hood, reducing the light to dim a 5-foot radius. It really wanted a weapon, but Vera is support and utility, so reveal the scowy vampires and evil ghosties.
Fantastic. Okay. That everybody? I think we got everybody. Okay. So, yeah, whenever you decide what common item that you're set on, let me know. It doesn't have to be right away. You want time to think about it or whatever. And again, if you don't find anything just from the list that catches your attention, just let me know and we'll work something out. Okay. So we see this montage of scenes of your characters growing accustomed to these different items, and maybe even moving about this space a little bit, trying them out, getting used to their capabilities and their functions. Before long, it's apparent that you're ready to leave. The Condessa will walk you through the reverse of leaving this strange place, back through the mirror that shows a slightly unnerving version of yourself in its reflection. She is the last to exit. She then reaches into this basin and opens basically a stopper in the bottom of the basin, and the blood drains from it into a pit in the floor. Well, perhaps maybe now we should have dinner.
Guillaume literally has like a bandolier of steaks across him and like a hand crossbow like stuck in his belly. He's like, right. I guess I shouldn't have put all of this on yet. I was just meant to grab it and got you. Okay.
It's very fetching.
Thank you.
Just one small suggestion, perhaps. She kind of comes over and she adjusts the bandolier a little. You see, this way, when you reach for them, it is much faster, instead of having to reach across your body. And well, you'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Well, either I will or I won't very quickly.
That's a fair point. Okay. You are able to head back upstairs and have another delicious meal here at the Via de Carbonserra. Is there anything else, any other business that you want to attend to before you put Alidalgo behind you for a while? Hit the road.
Did we want to go meet with the King of Rats? Because he did offer us support, you guys.
Yeah, we should have all the allies we can.
Then while we're at dinner, Mira's going to look around the table and she's going to say, "So, are we going to go stop by Armand tonight? See if he or perhaps even one or two of his associates can come with us?
Yeah, I think
Or
that'd be
even
smart.
if he has something that he can, I mean, you know, a silvered weapon or potions or something, I don't know. I feel like we've gotten all the alchemist fire we're going to get out of Guillaume's fiance." She winks at Guillaume when she says it.
Yeah, he blushes and like I mm, well, not yet. He's just kind of resigned at this point.
Yes,
Okay.
I guess we are going to go see Armand and we will be back in a little while to sleep before we head out in the morning.
Okay. You finish up your meal with the Condessa. She bids you good evening. Hopes that you sleep well before you begin your journey. She lets you know that if there's anything else that you need, she'll be around. Um, and then you're able to catch a gondola to the other side of the city. Again, it takes some time to catch a gondola because the city is just brimming with people during Mardival. But you all have become somewhat experts on navigating around the influx of tourists here in the city. You know how to even enjoy aspects of Mardival while you're kind of making your journey while avoiding the things that are tourist traps. Um, you eventually find yourself once again beneath the window of the florist, who joins you in song as the gondolier sings out, opening the curtain of roses and permitting you into the court of the Forsaken. And before long, you once again are in the company of the Saint of Rats, Armand Gualtiero. As you come into the tavern, he throws his arms wide, smiling. "Welcome, friends. I did not expect to see you again so soon. Come, come, come. Please." He kind of ushers some other people out of like a corner booth table to allow place for you to sit. Is there anything I can get for you? Anything at all? He says as he kind of like leans on an elbow towards Vera.
Oh, never mind. I wish perhaps later for that. But
Suit yourself. Anyone else? He kind of jokes.
I'm available.
No.
Guillaume just like says, just looking at him like thirsty as hell, like not just shamelessly like just saying. Anyway, what we really need is that assistance that we had talked about earlier.
His demeanor shifts slightly. Slight kind of like, somberness kind of cast over his otherwise kind of jovialness. I see. It is time already.
it seems
Well,
so.
We're thinking it's time to take the fight to the enemy rather than
Very well.
continually waiting for them to act.
I have people established all over El Hidalgo. We have ways that we could get into the Justicaro stronghold, if that is what is needed. Getting to the Padre himself may be a little difficult.
I love this line of thinking. we were actually thinking something more adjacent. We have information on one of their strongholds, and we were thinking it was time they learned that they're not safe in their homes.
I see. What is this stronghold? This is not something I've heard of before.
A castle. But I do want to say we should definitely circle back to this idea of assaulting the Justicaros. I'm weirdly into it after all they put me through.
We should
Yeah, and we'll
explain
just
this.
I think you know what, actually Guillaume will have kind of a sudden like realization and go, one moment, please. Vera, can I speak to you? And just take Vera aside, like, hey, quick question.
I swear, if you ask me for a three-way right now.
No, nothing to do with I mean, not a bad idea, but not what I'm here for. Is there any way to tell one is a changeling if we're dealing with someone who can impersonate your long dead friend? Now I'm just worried. I'm a little paranoid about telling any of our companions anything, any of our other allies too much. I was about to lay it all out for the saint, but
Well, I mean, he's a were-rat like you, so essentially you could ask him to hold on to some silver and see if it burns him, and you would at least know that.
okay. Kind of we'll be tipping our hand, but that's worth it.
We should go into his office probably to do all of this.
Good call.
And I don't think he knows about the list and the girls being kidnapped, so I think that's why he's a little jumped to the Padre killing thing.
That's fair. Maybe you guys should take the lead on this. I feel like
no, you're good. You're doing good. You've got a lot on your mind. It's fine. You'll be fine, Guillaume. You'll be fine.
I have a tendency to share more information than I mean to.
Do you want me to kick you if you start to ramble?
I guess.
Okay.
Wait, no, I shouldn't give you more permission to kick me than you already seem to give yourself. All right, let's see if we can talk to him in his office. Then we'll head back to the table. My apologies.
No reason.
Can we speak privately?
Of course, yes. Very prudent. He kind of like raises his hand and kind of snaps his fingers. And one of the the people who works here at the bar will bring over a bottle. And he will take the bottle. And please send. He says 6 plates. 10 minutes. 15. And then he kind of gets up and starts moving towards his office. This way.
Yeah, Vera will follow after him.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, all of us?
Yes.
Yeah. 6 plates.
You do not have to come if you would rather stay here, Chimera.
Oh no, I'm quite fine. That looked a little. Never mind.
Oh no! It's far too early in the evening.
For this many.
Indeed.
Guillaume kind of gives that like, I don't know, but again, that's not why we're here.
Vera's definitely doing the like kind of flirty, like touchy stuff, like as they're walking back, like she's,
I think we call that the Bobert now. No, I'm just calling. Okay, sorry.
She's she's kind of definitely doing like the flirty, touchy kind of stuff with him and everything, but at the same time maintaining like the seriousness of the business stuff that they're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, you get back to his office. He closes the door. He will then kind of gather a round of glasses. Again, there's plenty of space in here for all of you. However, there's like almost every flat surface has stuff piled. So you have to kind of like move things around to find enough seating. He moves over to his desk after pouring himself a glass, after pouring each of you one. And he kind of places himself in his chair and puts his boots up on his desk where he crosses them at the ankle. So, this stronghold. Is it here in the city? I find it very hard to believe that I was not aware of a stronghold that the vampires had here in the city.
No, it's elsewhere. It would be a bit of travel.
I see. Travel. What are you thinking as far as our arrangement? What kind of help would you need from me?
We kind of look to Locks, like you're better at the whole going in and killing things. What is it that we're asking here?
More swords. Anyone that we can bring along. Anyone who's itching to fight. Expertise. Anytime you.
Weapons that you know will hurt a vampire. I know myself, I only have normal blades. Or we're even looking for perhaps potions. I don't know. I feel like we should hold off on getting his people involved until we fight the Padre. But
That's fair.
we're looking for resources. Anything you can loan out to us, help keep us alive. We figured out what the name is, and the girls on the list, the women on the list are all pregnant, all ready to give birth. We suspect they all got pregnant during Amigazada, and there's some sort of weird ritual going on. And that's where we're off to. One of the women is one of my staff.
I'm very sorry to hear that someone close to you was taken, and that they are potentially in danger. If they are targeting women in particular who have become pregnant during Amigazada, that is strange. I do not understand what it is that they could want with them, but I assure you, it is not good. There are not very many who know this about me, but I was once a priest here in the city. I may not be able to get you weapons in particular that can hurt vampires. However, I could very easily secure a considerable quantity of holy water for you, if you should require it.
That would be outstanding. Very helpful.
Very well. I will set that into motion. I still have a few friends who serve the church. And you wish to wait as far as numbers go? For, to be honest, that is where the majority of our strength lies, in the Familia.
If you could, and she kind of looks around the group like, like, if you could spare them, I guess, but I don't want to wear out the favor for when we need them later.
Well, I am sure that we could find something to balance the scales. Of favor, that is. He raises his glass. But this kind of mission, job, I would ask for volunteers. I am certain that there would be a few at least who would be able to would be more than willing to accept the call. Where is it that you are headed outside of the city? You said some travel, but is it far? They would like to know where they are going. I will assure you of that.
Monchelona.
Manchalona. Yes, okay. Very well. They may need some compensation, but I will see to that. When do you leave?
The morning, if we can.
I see. So soon. He kind of looks at both Vera and Guillaume with a little bit of sadness.
The late morning.
Ah. Good. This is good. Well, I will put the word out, see what kind of a response I can get. I will send word to my friends in the church as far as the holy water goes, and then we shall see where the night may take us.
That sounds lovely.
Wonderful. He kind of hops up from his desk and claps his hands. Please, make yourselves comfortable, as always, here at the tavern. I will see to this business that we have discussed, and we'll return to you shortly. Perhaps with another bottle.
Yes, another bottle, perhaps two.
Very well. He will then duck out of the office, kind of leaving you here for the moment amongst the five of you.
Oh, I hope that was really the saint. I think it was. It seemed like him. I mean, how much personality can you like absorb if you're not, if it's not him? That seemed like him. It definitely seemed like him.
Our
There is one
allies
way to
haven't
test
steered us
it.
wrong yet.
Really well.
Unless, what if
Tonight.
if you turned into someone who was a were rat, like if you turn into me, do you have silver sensitivity?
No,
How perfect is the copy?
No, I don't become that creature. I mean, I can it has to have the same basic arrangement of limbs that I have, but I don't become that. I don't all of a sudden, if I
So if
I
you
look like the
pretended,
Padre, I'm not a vampire all of a sudden.
well,
Okay,
that's
okay.
reassuring, actually.
Good to know. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. So the silver would be a good test. It feels just really rude to ask him because like if you guys asked me that, I would be like, no, I don't want to do that. It's gonna really hurt. Because silver
Yeah, but
silver
you're
really
also
really
never
hurts. All right, fair. But
it both brings me delight and yet at the same time slightly upsets me that you and I are getting to the point to where I don't even have to finish my thoughts and you know what I'm saying. There's definitely something I need to work through.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have this chemistry with everyone. Um yeah, Guillaume just uh smiles broadly as you say that, just like, I don't know. Anyway. Um yeah,
it just feels really rude to ask him to to touch some silver.
And the thing that I do, my clothes don't change. Like I don't change my clothes. So like you saw earlier, when I became Nox, it was Nox and Vera's clothes, like Nox locks. It was
Okay. Then I think we're good. I think we can trust him. I think he's fine.
I looked pretty good in that dress, by the way. That was sort of weird for me.
we'll explore that a little bit later.
Yeah. Our allies here in the city have been good to us thus far. We don't have any reason to believe he's anyone who would harm us. Vera is the only changeling any of us have ever met, and we trust her. So,
Yeah, I apologize. I think I started overthinking the whole someone was impersonating someone to fuck with us thing and started kind of extrapolating from there. And I realize that now that leads down a never-ending path of paranoia and hell. And so I'm going to abandon that line of thinking before I delve or spiral any deeper into it.
It's probably very wise of you.
I learned some things.
Well, if the saint has his way, you're going to learn some things too.
Yeah, he's just struck silent at that. Like he has no response.
I think Chimeran is just sitting there watching these two, like just back and forth and back and forth, and he's just starting to get this little smirk on his face, but he's not saying anything. He's just sitting there, just watching these two.
Think at his dumbfounded, like kind of struck silent look, Vera's just gonna end it finally and just like kind of let it sit with. Don't worry, Guillaume, we'll go easy on you.
Please don't.
All right. So after some time, Armand will return. He is waiting to hear back from his associates who are still clergy about holy water, but he doesn't seem concerned that it's going to be a problem. And he says that he has already received word from 4 individuals from the family who are willing to either go with you to Manchalona or to meet you there, whichever you would prefer. If you want to travel along with them at the same time, or if you have a different method by which you wish to travel, then they will meet you there.
Well, I personally think we should get to know the people we'll be fighting alongside and travel with them. But
Agreed.
Agreed.
All right.
We will need to take another boat over the water, so shall we meet them there tomorrow morning at 9?
Jim will kind of like flash eyes at her and then like look
10?
over at the saint again, like 10:30.
We will meet them there at 11 tomorrow.
He smiles. I will gladly let them know. So, 2 more bottles, I believe, were ordered. And he kind of produces them and sets them down on the table. So, you leave Aladalgo tomorrow. But tonight, for tonight, you are here. All right. You can have as little or as much fun as you wish to get up to. Again, Mardival is still in full swing. Everybody is in very good spirits. The mead, the ale, all and the wine all flow freely. There is plenty of company down here at the court of the Forsaken. So no one will go without company if that's what you are seeking. And even if you're not, even plutonic companionship can be had easily here. Plenty of conversation to while away the hours into the night. Until you are, those of you who wish to, return to the Condessa's villa, then you can certainly do so. Good question.
Before things get too bajiggity and crazy up in this house, Vera wants to send a message to why can I never remember her name? Arabella?
The one who was captured?
Yes, the one who was kidnapped, and I can never remember her darn name.
Annabelle.
Annabelle.
Yep.
She wants to send Annabelle a message, and with the sending spell, and she's just going to say to her, she's going to say, Annabelle, we are coming for you. Stay strong. You are not alone. I will bring you home. And that's what she's going to say to her. Whether or not she responds.
You get a response, but it's very fatigued. I know it's not really sounding because there's not really any sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's effectively just, so cold. I'm scared. Confused. Please hurry.
She'll kind of walk back over towards whatever table Guillaume and the Saint they're sitting at, where she like wandered off to go send this spell and stuff, and she'll she's like over in the corner or something, sending it, or like down a hall a little bit or something, and she'll kind of like shake it off, and she'll square her shoulders off and straighten up, and she'll kind of turn around and maybe take like the hem of her skirt and like hike it up and tuck it up a little bit more, like rearrange, like, maybe like a garter belt snap or something that's underneath there, and she'll put this big smile on her face, and she'll walk back across the bar towards their table. She'll have a drink in one hand, and with the other hand she'll reach up and she'll undo the clip that's in her hair, and her hair will kind of like all fall down her back and stuff, and she'll slide into the booth next to the Saint and just act like nothing is wrong and just carry on.
All right. Your last night in Aladalgo is relaxing and enjoyable. It is able to satiate whatever needs you have, whatever hungers or thirsts that you may find. And in the morning, whether you slept here or at the Condessa's estate, you are able to meet back where the ferries dock, here island side, here in the city, to take you to the shore, where you will be able to then begin your journey. You were able to get your horses back from Guillaume's father's estate, although actually, Austin, would you be good with role playing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I feel like there's probably a story there.
I like the idea that, so that like last time we played, I sent you a letter that he sent to his father. I like the idea that he sent that off the night before, fully not realizing like, oh shit, we put the horses back at the stable at his estate. We're gonna have to go there. So his plan is again kind of to like just bully his way past the staff and try to like get to the horses and hope his father isn't there, especially because now his father probably has like gotten that note and he's like very uncomfortable with the idea of confronting him now, because he meant to like come back or not come back, like, and confront him after.
Okay. So I think that you're able to get your way past the staff.
I want to clarify real quick that that's the character's desire. I'm fine with it playing out however. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, you're not going to get off
what
that
he
easy.
wants.
All right. I think you're able to force your way past the staff well enough to talk your way in. Now, do you go as Guillaume?
In this instance, yes. I think I'm going like hooded and cloaked with that. Like I have my my new cloak, but I've got like a hood up, like fully going, like conspicuous, inconspicuous. But because I want to save my magic for when I really need it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going without for now.
Okay. So yeah, I think that you're able to bypass most of the staff to get to the horse house, and you're collecting them, whatnot, putting on the tack and bridles and things, and getting them kind of gathered together. And as you turn to go leave, you see the shape, the visage of your father standing in the doorway to the stables. You were simply going to run?
Not running. Not running. Actually, this is more of a charge. We're heading towards something, not away from something. But I suppose it was sort of running away from here with the horses. That was part of the plan.
And your intention was to try to do so without seeing me?
Honestly, I wasn't sure if you would want to see me or how that would go if you did.
Foolish boy. Explain to me this letter that you have written. But why did you never tell me?
Because I wanted to keep being your son.
Do you honestly believe that simply because you were not born from my loins, that it makes you any less my son?
you know what this city is like. And I assumed that it would affect how you saw me. Not that there was much lower for that opinion to go, I'll grant, but I thought it would fundamentally change something about who we are to each other.
This city is a cruel place. It will indulge your every whim on one hand, and with the other it will plunge a knife into your back. Perhaps I have been too hard on you. If only to try to prepare you for the way that things are, Guillaume. You live your life with this carefree attitude. It is endearing. It reminds me a lot of your mother. However, I fear for you. I fear that you are not prepared for the way that things are in this world, for the truth of it all.
I've learned more than you would imagine over the last few weeks, months. Things are much worse than I thought. But also, I'm more able to handle things than I thought. And right now, we have to go because we have a meeting with a group of people that are going to help us, and we are going to do something good. We are going to try to challenge that darkness that seems to envelop this city. And we know that we're not going to be able to beat it all back, but just a little piece we're going to try to reclaim today. Well, not today. It's going to take a few days for us to travel where we need to go. But when we do, it's going to be a small contribution, but it'll be the contribution that I can make. Because I know that things are bad. And you know what? You weren't too hard on me. I think I probably did deserve it. If anything, maybe you could have been harder on me. I clearly turned out a bit of a mess. I've hung out with some people who are messy in different ways, and they've kind of helped expose what's wrong with me. And I'm working on it. It's a slow process, but I am working on it. Thank you, Frederick, for your assistance with the horses. I really appreciate it and everything you do for our family.
His
See, I'm
expression, yeah, his expression in that moment is probably more expressive than you have seen your father's face in a long time, other than maybe anger. Perhaps you have changed, grown a bit.
I mean, a little. Let's not blow this out of proportion.
Maybe I was too fast to judge the people whose company you keep currently. I cannot pretend to know what it is that you are up to, what you intend to do, Guillaume, but just Be careful.
You be careful too. This city is more rotten than you think. I think it's worse than even you know. This goes all sorts of places that you don't want to even know about. Watch yourself and just be careful who you interact with.
Perhaps whenever you return, we will discuss it further.
And please, we were never here, and you know nothing of this if it comes to that.
He kind of raises his hand and shakes his head.
No. I can see that many of the accusations that have been leveled against you are exaggerated at best, if not fully fabricated.
Guillaume holds it together through that devastating pause. Thank you. I know I've said it many times, many times, but I did not kill the people that I am accused of killing. I figured out better, more specific wording now.
I believe you, my son. I believe you.
Thank you.
He approaches you, and you can see that he's clearly uncomfortable. But he kind of gives a resolute pause, and then he embraces you. He gives you kind of a firm several pats on the back.
Yeah, Guillaume tries not to, but just lets out this okay. Yeah, no. Okay. Just hugs him back, and then releases very abruptly, trying not to freak him out by hugging him too long.
He immediately kind of straightens his coat, makes sure that his buttons are kind of lined back up again on his jacket. Very well. Frederick will help you escort the horses out of the estate, and I hope to see you again soon.
I hope so as well, Father.
He kind of lingers for a long moment. He clears his throat and then turns and briskly walks away.
Guillaume disguises himself into a version of himself who isn't crying. No, he's just using prestidigitation very subtly to just immediately remove the tears.
Excellent. All right.
Right, well, we have our horses.
Horses.
Let's get going.
You are able to, like I said, reconvene back together where the boats will leave from the city to the shoreline. I will put together the four were-rats who will be accompanying you for next session. But I think this is where we're going to call it for the evening. As you board... Oh, yes, please.
Quick question, sorry. Was Cameron able to maybe convince Vitor that he should stay at the Contessa's house?
Oh,
Or is he coming with us?
Okay. So we're in a little early, so why don't we go ahead and play that out? See how that goes. Okay. You'll find him at some point. Where's he? He is talking to one of the skull-faced, servants who work here at the Via. And he is kind of frustratingly kind of like gesticulating. No, I need this to be cooked more. It needs to be longer time on the. You don't understand a word I'm saying. He sees you kind of approaching. Oh, thank the gods, Karen. Please tell him. Tell them that they need to cook this longer. This is undercooked. I cannot bring this to you this way.
Vitor, it's just food. It's okay.
Just food. You, we are leaving tomorrow. This is the last hot meal that you are likely to have for several days. You need your energy before we get onto the road.
I appreciate the gesture, but I am so full right now. We ate before we left, we fed all night, and I simply can't eat another bite.
You ate out with your friends.
Well, yes.
I see.
Our host, of course, fed us all.
This was the dashingly handsome Saint of Rats.
Yes,
your host.
that's the one. Yes.
I see. Well, I suppose I will eat alone.
All right. I just wanted to let you know that we're leaving tomorrow morning.
Yes, you have said. I have packed the little that we have managed to leave the estate with. I have procured a few further things. I, for one, my bedroll was rather old, so I went ahead and bought myself a new one. But everything is already packed, and we are ready to leave in the morning.
You're not staying here at the Condessa's.
Staying here in the city?
Well, yes.
You have changed your mind. You will remain here in El Hidalgo then.
Oh no. We have to go take the fight to the vampire lair.
He kind of lowers his voice and kind of turns away from like this skeletal like statue that's like been standing just a few feet from where you've been having this conversation. You intend to leave me behind?
Why would you want to come? It's going to be dangerous.
I thought I told you that where you go, I go.
Well, I thought you just meant like in general that you would go where I would go. That
he seems visibly wounded. I understand. Of course, yes. Whatever you wish. I will remain here while you walk into the mouth of danger.
at this point, it's like I think the Chimeran facade has fallen, and we're in Isabel. And is very confused. She's just like looking at him. I don't understand why. This isn't your fight, Vitor.
But is it yours?
And at that, she kind of touches her forehead. Yes. Yes, it is. Somehow it's connected.
When you reach up to touch the place on your skull and indicate that you feel that this could be linked somehow, his demeanor shifts, definitely kind of softens. He becomes less defensive, less prickly, and he nods. I understand. Forgive me. I was out of place.
Besides, my brother would never forgive me if something happened to you.
Your brother.
Yes, he adores you. I'm surprised he actually even let you go and come with me.
He shakes his head. You still don't understand.
But he sent you with me?
I traveled all this way. I left everything behind. Not because your brother wanted me to come here. Not because your brother was concerned for you. Because I was concerned for you. Isabella.
Vitor, what are you saying? I don't understand.
I have always loved you. I carry that love now. And when you make a decision like this to willingly place yourself in danger, it gives me a great amount of grief.
Vitor,
I hope that your travels are very safe and that you come back to Aladalgo soon. I will be here waiting.
He then turns and he very briskly starts to walk away.
I think she just watches him go, this look of confusion and almost the not like fright, but the oh shit, what do I do? Look as he just walks away.
He does not look back.
I think almost with like a relieved sigh, she turns and walks away as well.
Okay. That, unless there's anybody else that wants to have an emotional goodbye scene. No? Okay.
It's just Locks cradling his sword. You're coming with me. I love you.
He's got the little urchins gathered around him. So
I feel
listen,
like
children.
I feel like the sword talk's got to be way more sexual. I'm gonna get you so wet tomorrow.
Oh my god.
You're gonna be creating orifices.
Oh my god. All right. So I think this is. I love y'all. Yeah, this is incredible. Did we roll any die? Did anybody roll any dice tonight at all? No. Sorry, not sorry. Soon. Locks, you'll have people to kill, I promise, at some point soon. There will be people to fight.
I'm sure in the midst of next session, I'm just going to be pining for a conversation with no rolls.
So
Hey, vampire, you want to sit down and rap for a minute?
let's talk this out. Yeah, I love this game so much. These characters are so troubled, and they have so much going on. There's so much of their stories that are now interwoven that it's just a lot of fun to be able to touch on just a little bit and watch how it kind of ripples out into the things that have already been done and already have been said, and it makes them these really big, fun reveals. We had a lot that happened last session, a lot of like big bombs that dropped, and seeing the aftermath of that and some more bombs that were dropped this session, it's just a really, really solid testament to the fact that that y'all understand these characters so well and brought so much material to this game. So this is just a ton of fun. So thank you for being just fantastic players. And on top of being fantastic players, you're just all really good people. Fantastic people to be able to spend time with and joke with. It makes coming to this game, to this table every month, an absolute joy and pleasure. So thank you. Okay, I'm going to pass things over to all of you wonderful people so that you can give any kind of parting words that you want to give before we call it an evening. So we'll start in reverse order with Karen. I think Karen was last.
I was. I don't know what to say. I'm always kind of like speechless after these games. They're so much fun. There's so much story, and like I just lose myself in the game when it's happening and just listening to everybody. So I'm taking this moment right now to try to get back to who I am, and it's a little bit difficult right now. Yeah, I can't wait for the next session. I can't wait to start kicking some vampire askies. Hopefully. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I love you all. So much fun. Thank you.
You guys keep me on my toes. Sometimes you pass it off, sometimes you don't. All right, next up, speaking of on my toes, Austin.
This was a blast. I always love these sessions where we don't end up rolling any dice and it's just all fueled by the role play. Like, and god damn, Jeremy, the way you weave this stuff together just blows me away. Like I run games. I don't like have individual stories and like ties to the backstory for every fucking player and every character and like make everything from their backstory like incredibly relevant. It constantly blows me away the work and effort that you put into this game and all the games you run and the way that you bring everything together, because it is just always a blast, and watching you weave it in and out of all of our different troubles it's just masterful. I love watching your work. And so other than that, this is just the best game. This is like, it's so goddamn fun every month, and I always enjoy hanging out with all of you and making dumb sex jokes, and playing a ridiculously unfiltered character whose like brain filter seems to be about 4 seconds behind his mouth, where he always realizes, oh, that was a horrible thing to say that I shouldn't have said, but just after saying it, it makes it a really fun character to play. Yes, I will keep you on your toes now and pass it off to M.
Yeah, I echo all of that. it is so good to just, yeah, not roll dice the entire time, but have so many things happen, so much lore that has dropped over the end of last session, beginning and all of this session, knowing so much more about the characters. Wouldn't it be a shame if one of us or all of us died? That would be very heartbreaking. But I'm so excited for whatever happens. Super excited to have some awesome weapons. And yeah, can't wait for the next session. And I will pass it to Matt.
Yeah, great session as always. And it really does feel like a bunch of these little through lines are kind of rising. And it feels like a lot of stuff is sort of culminating or near culminating. And there's just a lot going on, and all against the backdrop of a war against a secret vampire cult. Like, it's all just been so awesome. So thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Jeremy, as always, for just running a tight game. And yeah, looking forward to the next one. I'll pass it off to Kenya.
Yeah, I always get to this point and it's weird. I have to be the first person to go when we start, and then we're here, I'm at the end, and I'm just I don't know what to say except to just repeat everything that everybody says. I love this game. I love that we meet every month and do this. It's the weirdest thing. It feels like it takes forever to get here, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's here, and then we're through it, and I'm like, shit, now we've got a whole nother month to wait. And it's so good, and everybody in here is so amazing, and I am constantly just absolutely floored at all the players, and Jeremy, you as a DM, the improv that goes on in this game, that is just, it's just really good. And I really, really love watching everybody do their thing. And I am super excited to see Lox penetrate lots of things with his sword next session. It will be fun. I had to get one more last sex joke in there.
It's always good to get one more in.
Just one more.
Just one more. Thank all of you very, very, very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I love telling complex stories that are very character focused, and using the stuff that all of you bring to help also illustrate the setting in a way that I hope is engaging and surprising, but also still rings true to what the expectations were for this kind of flavor of Dungeons and Dragons. It's always something that I'm striving to do. Is, yes, it's D&D, but it's decidedly different. So y'all are a huge part of what gives me the material to carve that out with. So thank you. Yeah, love you. All right, so thank all of you very, very much. For those of you who may have watched this video, whether you watch this game live with us and are hanging out with us in the chat, or whether you may be tuning in at some point down the road in the future, it is sincerely appreciated. It warms the cockles of my heart to see that this goofy game filled with trauma and sex jokes is entertaining to people. It's awesome to watch people engage with this and enjoy it so much. So thank you very, very, very much for doing so. If you did like this, if you hung out and watched this, do all the things that the algorithm likes to see. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share the link around and all that kind of stuff, because it does help grow the channel here, and makes it a lot easier to keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Remember, kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to people, and God knows the world needs more of that right now. So reach out, be kind to people, please. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it could make the difference in somebody's day. You never know. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope the rest of you have a wonderful remainder of the week. And until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.